Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm sorry. What did you want us to do? What did you want us to do with Iran? I mean, how much bombing can you do? What did you have in mind? We got rid of their nuclear. They're on their knees in every possible way. Now what? I don't want to incinerate that country. I want to get rid of their nuclear. I want to make sure they never get a nuclear. And then I want to live my life. And quite frankly, let them live their lives. If they don't have a nuclear, that ensures Israel's safety, which I'm concerned about. I don't know what what's going on with him. You know, I've always heard that he's very high maintenance. I've always also heard that he is addicted to crisis. That's where he shines. That's what he's best at. And he can't stand normal stuff. He just can't stand it when it's good. So I think this is a very solid deal. The naysayer, I mean, and I noticed that the people who've always hated Trump, and I can tell, especially on the conservative side, right, are the loudest critics right now. Look at that. What are they doing in Chicago? Who cares? This is about the 8th ceremony for the Obama library I've seen. They had a ceremony when they selected the lot. They had a ceremony when they started, digging the hole. They had a ceremony when they laid the first brick. They had a ceremony when they laid the last brick. It's taken 16 years, it seems like, to make this dumb thing. And everybody knows it's ugly and weird. I mean, how can you make a building with no windows? Right? How do you make a building with no windows? Unless there's, unless you're up to no good in there, which is very possible when you think about the Obamas. James Flippin, probably the most vocal B-boy we got here. And by B-boy, I mean basketball boy. You're really into the Knicks, huh?
A lot of my coworkers would object to that. They would say that I am far down the list on the most enthusiastic B-ball boys here.
Oh, you guys, you love your Knicks. You love your Knickerbockers.
That's true.
The parade. I want nothing to do with that parade. Thank God it's all the way downtown.
I went down there. I tried to get into the Pens, but they were closed by 7:30 this morning.
What do you mean Pens?
They kind of they took it like the New Year's Eve approach. So they had penned-in viewing areas. You went through secure checkpoints, and then once you're in there, you can't come back out, or else you're done. You're done for the day. So they had these little secure penned-in areas where you could watch the parade route.
What do you expect to see?
Well,
like these goofy guys. First of all, it's very hard to tell them what they look like when they're in their civilian attire. You know what I mean? No, they wear hats and sunglasses and weirdo clothes, and they're surrounded by aunts, uncles, and brothers and stuff like that. There are a lot of people who are not the basketball players on those floats, and it's like, who the hell am I looking at?
There is some truth to that. Yeah, you see a lot of I guess there's team employees up there and family and friends, as you said. But still, it was cool to be down there. The environment was very positive.
It's
a lot of excitement.
Oh, good. So, how many? Let me ask you this: how many school buses did they burn?
I didn't see any today. I didn't see any. Yeah.
Were there any MTA buses trashed?
I don't believe there were. No.
How many people shot?
As of press time, I don't believe there were any.
All right. So we only had the 17 from the other night. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you give people a reason to behave badly, and or rather like permission.
Wait a second.
You've talked about that, like the psychosis of a mob or whatever.
Psychosis of a mob,
or whatever the term is.
It's not really but when you know that and you're the cops, that's something.
I agree with you on that.
That's something that you have to kind of what the hell is this?
But that's not the next fault.
Where's JD Vance right now? Get me JD Vance. What's he doing?
Well, he's in the Oval, or he's in the White House press room.
Yeah,
briefing room.
Do me a favor. Let's put that on right now. Do we have it? Is he still going?
I don't know. He was talking for about an hour. He might be done by now.
So guess where I was? Thanks to your B-Boy Festival, stuck on the train. All right,
yes.
The trains were all screwed up.
That's correct.
So I was down there like a schmuck, and I wasn't able to watch the damn press conference. Jesus. Excuse the language. But all right, I'm going to find out. So he was great. They put him out for like an hour on this thing, and he, nobody knows this stuff better than he does. He was negotiating it. It's funny. I hear all these crazy, silly plots or silly alleged plots that they wanted Vance. Let me get this straight. They wanted Vance involved in the negotiations so that when this deal falls apart or when things go south, he'll get the blame, and Marco Rubio will come out looking like smelling like a rose. But that's crazy. Number one, look, I know this. The war is unpopular, right? I mean, according to the polls, this is not the most popular war. I don't think people are as fired up about it as some would have you believe. But if that war is unpopular, if this war is unpopular, ending the war would be a pretty popular thing. A guy who engineers the end of the war, that would be, this fake game, everything that President Trump touches, everything. Oh, my God. No, this is solid. This is good. I love it. I think it's great. Let me play you. I think this is the money moment. A lot of people don't understand what the hell's going on. This is important to realize. Cut 9, please. Cut 9.
You've been clear, President Trump, the United States is not going to directly pay Iran, but the U.S. is going to let the Iranians start making billions of dollars, selling oil, accessing this reconstruction fund.
Only if they're doing things right. Only if we're not doing anything. We're not putting up money. Only if they're doing things right. If they're doing things right, if people want to invest, they can invest. But they had this $300 million fund. It's only $300 billion fund. It's only if they're doing things right. Remember this also. When you talk about billions of dollars, they've had much more than $1 trillion worth of damage done. They got a long way. There'll be 15 to 20 years to rebuild what they have right now. So they have to behave themselves. If they're not behaving, they get hit again. They'll be hit again because we can do it very easily.
We could do it tonight. And even when we pull our forces out, and by the way, that doesn't mean we're pulling out of the Persian Gulf. We still have bases over there. We got all kinds of stuff over there. We have augmented forces because of these operations. All you got to do is flick. You can send off the bombers from Missouri, B-2 bombers. They'll go there. They don't have to land or anything. Come right back.
So can I play devil's advocate? Because I don't necessarily have any beef with the deal. I want to see the war end. I would rather there be a deal than continue fighting. But what would those targets be that the U.S. military would hit? And why not just do that now? Why not continue to hit more targets?
Well, number one, I think we're running out of targets. Number two, I think we have, look, I don't have access.
Doesn't the leverage of saying I'm going to hit more targets kind of ring hollow?
No, because we're going to hit more targets if you guys start building the bomb again. That's the big violation. We don't want you guys messing around with nuclear. We know where that nuclear dust is, the enriched uranium. If they try to access it, if they try to purify it, or whatever the hell they have to do, ba-boom. If they start, I would say if they start funding, if they start writing checks, if we find out that they're writing checks to Hezbollah, which I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does happen, we could bomb them again. We could bomb their banks. You know what I mean? Okay, fine. You're playing with finances now. We're going to bomb where that transaction happened. We'll pick out some things, but that's what I would say.
It seems to me like people that are critical of the deal don't like the part of it that relies on the Arab states to put pressure on Iran, and that they're the ones that are going to potentially have more skin in the game. I think my speculation is like Israel worries about that part of it, and the more war hawk side of the conservative movement here worries about that.
We have accommodated and done so much for Israel. Look, that is the neighborhood. I don't understand. You don't want buy-in from the Arab world. We led this mission, and we had buy-in, your phrase, and it's a good one, from Qatar, from UAE, from Kuwait. All these countries used to be arrayed and allied against us, right? I mean, they hated us. Now we're using their bases. We're doing joint operations. They were all angry at Iran. Remember, Iran hit them all that first night. They became our immediate, and by the way, people don't like to talk about it or whatever, but, Qatar is an ally of ours. The UAE, all of these Arab states, Saudi Arabia, they're a strong ally of America. Granted, I don't like everything they do there, They got some pretty intense things going on inside.
Yeah, but I think that's why the more America First MAGA, they want to see this war end, and they're happy to see a deal reached. But the more neocon wing is going to be the one that says, "Oh, why aren't we dropping more bombs? This isn't the right deal."
I don't know about the neocon. Honestly, I've always had trouble with that term, But the neocon, as in the traditional Republican, they hate Trump, period. They want him dead. They want him gone. I don't want to say they want him dead. And everything he touches. The neocon, I don't even, I like that phrase is almost going away. You know what I mean? What does it mean? It means new conservative, formerly liberal. Those guys.
The multicultural, or the people who think globalism is the way that the foreign policy ought to be handled. That we're intended to be this force for like the police world, the police force of the world or whatever.
That's not what this is. We don't police the world, but when a ruthless, anti-Israel, anti-America, die America, blood in the streets America country is on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon, putting America first is making sure that they don't get a nuclear weapon. And we did that. And if they dare try again, we have everybody knows. Also, if you're a superpower and you have a great big arsenal, every now and then you got to light it off to let people know. You forget. You ever go to one of those forts, colonial, battlefields or stuff like that? Ever been to an old-timey fort? And they have these cannons that, were fired like 50 years ago, like 200 years ago, and now they're painted over. Like they have a heavy coat of paint. They can't even work. You got to let everybody know that our cannons still work, and we know how to use them. And we'll aim them right at you, baby. We'll aim them right in your freaking eye. Okay?
I thought you were going to say face. It just was more alliterative.
Eye.
I say.
You don't know the Jerky Boys, do you?
I'm not as up on the Jerky Boys. I know you're a huge fan of their catalog.
That is that's a it's a very esoteric reference to the Jerky Boys.
Gotcha.
All right, and I want you to listen to this as well, please. This is basically what he just said. What I just said. Cut 4, please. Cut 4.
It's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to, because we're never going to let them have a nuclear weapon. But they've agreed not to, and you'll see that very clearly in the agreement.
Right? Does that make you feel better? Makes me feel better. And there's one other thing. Yeah, there's more. Cut 5.
So they'll work closely with us to turn over the so-called enriched material that's very deep in the bowels of the earth. Very deep. Nobody can get it. So it's not important that we do it quickly, but we could do it fairly quickly. When we have a chance, we'll do it. But in the meantime, we have cameras on every inch of it. Nobody can do it. And if they do, we'll hit them with Patriots. That's all. And they'll be gone. And they know that.
Questions? I love Mark Levin, but he's exasperated. He just can't, and I don't know. What did you have in mind? How is this thing supposed to play out? Now that it does concern me a little bit, there are a couple of provisions in there that seem to say Israel won't do this and Israel can't do that. But that's, I could make the case that's between Hezbollah and Israel. And if Iran starts, saying, well, if they attack Hezbollah, it's like attacking us. Wait a second. I thought you guys had nothing to do with Hezbollah. There are some scenarios where this thing could go up in smoke. I don't want that to happen. Hey, NYPD already acting out. The NYPD is already acting out. This is a leftist Twitter site, but I see that they are. There's some arrests. There are going to always be arrests at a parade with 2 million people.
Yeah, I mean, I did see some 2 women getting some fisticuffs. They were both trying to climb the same light pole.
One at a time. You go to the light pole on the other side of the street, and you can climb that one. All right, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. Thank you, James. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm a little surprised that the opening of the Obama Library is being taken live by some of the networks. Valerie Jarrett giving a speech. Who the hell's Valerie Jarrett? Friend of the Obamas. A fixer for the Obamas. The object of Roseanne Barr's famous joke, which everybody misunderstood. She was trying to say that she looked like one of the humans from Planet of the Apes. Actually, you can make that case. The human beings from the Planet of the Apes, Nova and her friends, right? They were pretty scruffy looking. I've seen maybe just a little bit. All right. So JD, oh boy, Obama looks very strange. Very I don't know. He doesn't look like a happy man. And that building does not look like a nice place. It looks like Dr. Evil's headquarters. It looks like something bad is happening in there. The architecture, I believe, is called brutalism. Have you ever heard of that? Brutalism. How's that for a style? We made our house in brutalist style. No, we have a colonial. Obama could never have a colonial because colonial is bad, right? Colonial is now a bad thing. Brutalist. There's some buildings. Actually, it started in the 1970s. Think of like the FBI building. It used to be accessible to the people. That's a good example. Like City Hall in New York City is a building that is supposed to be accessible to the people. You look at it, it's got great big steps upstairs, up to the main part there. It's got windows all over the place. It's kind of ornate in its own way. It attracts you. It what's going on in there? I think I want to be in that building. It looks warm. A brutalist building is the opposite. It is cold, sterile, brutal. And it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on in there? Better stay away. And there was a whole wave of architecture and actually government buildings signing up for the brutalist. And they all went brutalist, which is it just doesn't go with democracy. And maybe that was part of the point, right? Where the government be scared of us. Look at those fakers on Fox, pretending that they did anything. I'm just sorry. They're a little bit, what they did to Trump, what they continue to do to this country. The pawns of the Murdochs, and watching them on Fox and Friends this morning try to figure out what the bosses wanted them to say about the Iran deal, and they're trying to figure out what do the bosses want, and you can't just look at the piece of paper yourselves and make a judgment. Nope, that's a corporation, baby, and they're all about hair and makeup and money and those phony baloney books that they write. Oh, yeah, it's like a machine. J.D. Vance, this is how I found out about the press conference. I was all screwed up on the train today because of the parade for the Knicks. I'd be in a better mood about all this if there was at least a little bit of attention paid to the incineration that happened in Times Square after the victory, after they won. How that was allowed to happen and how the fake news can just look the other way, pretend it didn't happen, all to protect Mamdani, right? To protect him. Protect him because he's just he's the new thing. He's young. He's got that big smile. He's powerful. And the media want to stay on the good side of him. They did the same thing with Adams for most of his term. It's interesting. They're not brave. They're weak. And they're not leaders. They're followers. And they're not truth tellers. But J.D. Vance, I'm very impressed. I heard about this, and let's go ahead and listen to it together. Let's start with in reverse, the one that I sent first. This is J.D. Vance, kind of just jumping into the briefing room today. Caroline Leavitt is absent, but this is important beyond just briefing. He's talking about the Iran nuclear deal, and let's go.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Nothing to talk about. Slow news day here in Washington, D.C., so let me just say a couple of things off the bat. First of all, I think the president's peace plan in Iran is already bearing real fruits for the American people. Last night, 12.5 million barrels of oil went through the Strait of Hormuz. That is a high since the beginning of the conflict. Oil prices are down nearly at their level from the pre-war conflict. Gas prices dropped below $4 a gallon today for the first time since the conflict. And importantly, they're going to keep falling further given how low oil prices are. On the military side, the Iranians, for the second night in a row, did not shoot at any ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they are honoring their end of the commitment. And on the blockade, CENTCOM has allowed north of a dozen ships to go through our naval blockade, and so we're also honoring our end of the early part of the agreement.
All right. So far, so good. Next, please. Yeah.
Well, before the MOU was signed. That's not a reflection on the MOU. That's a reflection of why we need the MOU to ensure that we have the regional peace and stability that we need. Now, what I would say to some of the critics of the deal that I've heard that will say, well, Iran's going to get all this benefit. I'll repeat what I've said, and I'm probably going to have to repeat it a number of times, is what is the benefit that the Iranians get that they didn't have before? And the answer is nothing. They don't get anything unless they change their behavior. If they change their behavior, that is a thing to celebrate. That's going to transform the Middle East for a generation. If they don't change their behavior, they don't get the benefit of the bargain. And I think, I got to be honest, I think fundamentally this idea that, and it's a misrepresentation of the MOU, this idea that the Iranians get all these benefits before the deal is actually consummated. The idea that they get benefits before they change their behavior is fundamentally a talking point that is issued by people who want the conflict to continue indefinitely, despite the fact that that's not good for the American people and it's not good for the region. Way in the back.
All right, let's go. That's very key here. They get money when they start doing the right thing. And by the way, it's their own money. And some of it is investment. It's not our money. It's Middle East money. Qatar, UAE, that kind of thing. Keep going, please.
After you, I'll give you the short version. Right? He says he welcomes the agreement between the U.S. and Iran.
Pope.
He says it hopes it will help strengthen mutual trust, security, and stability in the Middle East. And he also hopes that it's truly a solution to the war and that the war is really over. What do you say to the Pope, sir?
My response to that is praise Jesus. I'm glad that the Pope has positive things to say about our MOU. I think that the Pope is fundamentally accurate, and it's going to be good for the entire world. But we got to keep working at it to make sure that the Iranians honor the commitments that they've made. And then
kind of reminds me how little you hear about Jesus these days, right? How little you hear about Jesus. You wouldn't want to be a Jesus freak now, would you? You wouldn't want to offend somebody now, would you? You wouldn't want to be a holy roller now, would you? You wouldn't want to have somebody say something about you now, would you? You talk about the perfect person. You talk about the Son of God. So much I need to learn about the Son of God. I did hear some amazing, and it was really interesting. It was seemed genuine to me. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank Jesus, and for a long time. And I'm not saying that's insincere, but sometimes it was a perfunctory. Do they mean it? But those guys at the UFC the other night, they were all in about Jesus, and they talked about it at length. One guy quoted scripture, and the big lesson for me was, I always thought that stuff was, meant to kind of, oh boy, I don't know, kill me from having a good time, but it's actually meant to maximize your safety and your joy. It really does. It maximizes everything. All right. Do we have a little bit more from JD? I think we got a big, another one, a chunk. JD Vance, Vice President of the United States, the point man on all of this. Go.
And that's the way the president has set up this deal and this negotiation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just a quick housekeeping question, just if you answered in your topper, but did the 60-day period officially begin yesterday?
I would say the 60-day period officially started today. It was signed late, and it may have even been signed technically, because of the time shift. I think it's signed technically today, Iran time. So, yes, the deal started yesterday. We're going to start the 60-day clock today. Go ahead.
Can you help us understand President Trump's shift on his stance for Iran's ballistic missile program? Initially, it was a key objective to dismantle it. Yesterday, he said it would only be fair if they had some, if the countries around Iran also had some. So when And why did that change? And will the final agreement have any restrictions on these missiles?
So we destroyed a substantial number of their ballistic missiles and their ballistic missile launchers themselves. It's not just the bullets, but it's the actual gun. And that's what we were extremely effective at in destroying during the last 3 months of the campaign. All the president said yesterday is that, of course, countries don't give up the right of self-defense. Israel doesn't give up the right of self-defense if Hezbollah fires rockets or drones at Israel. The Iranians don't give up the right of self-defense in their country. But we do expect that as part of the final deal, they are not going to be able to build the kind of missiles that can broadly threaten the entire world. And that's what the President of the United States said yesterday. And look, I mean, it's very simple. You can't tell a country, whether Israel or Iran, they're not allowed to have any self-defense. That's not what the President has asked. That's not what the President has requested. But as part of the final deal, what we want to see is Iran not funding regional instability, funding regional terrorism, and of course trying to rebuild their nuclear weapons program. That's the main thing. The nuclear weapons program is destroyed. It is gone. If the Iranians decided tomorrow to build a nuclear weapon, they simply don't have the capacity in order to do that. What we're trying to ensure is they don't rebuild that capacity, not just a year from now, 2 years from now, but many, many years from now, so that our children never have to worry about a state sponsor of terrorism having a nuclear weapon.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You were just saying that
So, doesn't it sound reasonable? Doesn't that? Now, the thing about the conventional, well, why are we letting them have any conventional? Well, if you don't let them have conventional, that's incentive for nuclear, right? If you can't have every country in the world, the smallest country, the biggest country, needs an army, needs a defense of some kind. And if you say you can't have any conventional, you really are incentivizing the building of nuclear. And there was a very funny kind of illustration of this from the president, not vice president, but president in France yesterday. He did this whole kind of, I guess you could call it a bit of a skit, a conversation that he had with his advisors about whether or not Iran should be able to have some missiles. All right. So, and remember, we got rid of most of their missiles. We got rid of most of their missile launchers, the guns. But there will be some left. There will be some drone left. And this was never about, I never really envisioned this being about taking away their conventional, all of their conventional. All right, you ready with that? This is President Trump on a little conversation he had with his aides. Go ahead.
So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you shouldn't give them one. And I have guys. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. It doesn't work that way, you know. It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
I mean, what am I going to do, right? These people come to me, sir, don't let them have any missiles. I love how he says, sir. They said, sir, you have the best brain. And I said, I do. Sir, you have even a better brain. It's kind of like gently mocking the deference, perhaps even the obsequiousness that is shown a president. Oh, another reason why Gavin Newsom can never be president, because the deference, the sometimes obsequiousness, you know what that means? Obsequiousness, the over deference, the over kind of like excessive obedience that comes with the presidency. It comes with lots of positions of power. Came with the mayor of San Francisco, being the mayor of San Francisco. He said it right in his book. It went to his head. And so he decided to subvert himself with an act of self-sabotage and have sex with his top aide's wife. He said it. It's right there in his book. And for that alone, he'll never be president. Plus, looks like his wife is going to jail. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm told my phone is antique. It's only 3 years old, and it doesn't work with anything. And all of its when you update it, it's very slow. It's weird. Hey, there's Jim Dolan having a moment. This is the one thing that excites me about the Knicks. This Jim Dolan, he's an interesting guy. James Dolan, Jim Dolan. So his dad started Cablevision, right? And he kind of was there, family business, $1 billion business. And some people say, "Oh, wow, look at that guy. He, was given it all, has it all." Be surprised. What's wrong? How many? The son of a billionaire doesn't necessarily keep the billion going. They could squander it. They can blow it. He hasn't been doing that. He's very creative. That whole Sphere. Have you heard about the Sphere? People go to see concerts in an empty sphere, like a mini globe that's empty, and the images project. It's just, apparently it's better than 3D. It's like, I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's really cool. There's one in Las Vegas. There's another one in Dubai. He's expanding. He's doing all kinds of things. And of course, and the Knicks is one part of that. He's a little bit excitable, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's kind of personally invested in the success. I must say, I don't like seeing the Knicks right now at City Hall. I feel like they're bigger than that. I feel like City Hall is so political and, Mamdani and the rest, and he gets some sort of kick out of this. He doesn't deserve this. This is not about Mamdani. What did he have to do with this? Nothing. His practices, his policies, bad for business, bad for guys like James Dolan, bad. So I look at that. They got all kinds of flags and bunting and 2026 championships. Everybody's wearing that shirt. Everybody's wearing a T-shirt. I don't want to do it, mostly because, well, number one, I'm not that into it. Number two, I don't look good in T-shirts. I don't think I'm the only one. I do have I don't have, you know what I mean, when the top of your chest looks a little bit, they call them, I hate the phrase, moobs, man boobs. I don't have that, but it looks a little bit like I do when I wear a T-shirt or a shirt that's too tight. And so I usually put a layer on. Like right now, I got a layer on so people don't have to see that. And I don't have to have people see that. It makes me feel better about myself. I'm not the only one. These are the things. A society that's so focused on looks and appearance. But sometimes we get in our own head. No one's really looking at us as much as we think. Is that Angela Merkel? Oh, my God. Angela Merkel from Germany came all the way over to Chicago to see that stupid library open up. How many sneak peeks behind the scenes can we get at that library? 60 Minutes must have done 27 profiles of that building, from when they conceived it to when they funded it to when they broke ground and all of it. So how do we feel about the conservatives who do not like the nuclear deal? The only one I really care about, the only one I really respect, is Mark Levin, and you're going to hear him in this little vignette. All right, Mark Levin is the first voice you hear, and he's not crazy about this deal. He still loves Trump. He adores Trump, I heard him say last night. Cut 10, please. Cut 10.
This deal won't stand. It won't stand for long, even during the Trump presidency. Israel will not be able to adhere to what would be a suicide pact. The Israeli people won't put up with it. The prime minister won't put up with it. We should not accept it either.
Now, I don't want to see theocratic Islamists who want to kill us made stronger. So if this deal is giving them $300 billion, that's a mistake.
I believe it smacks of the kind of appeasement that we saw during the Obama years, the kind of appeasement that Joe Biden tried to accomplish.
The other guy is Ted Cruz, and he was just misinformed about the $300 billion. It's not our money. They got trillions of dollars worth of damage. I have no beef with the Iranian people. We have a beef with the radical regime. It was too bad they weren't able to rise up and topple that regime, but we toppled it for them. We got rid of the Ayatollah. Looks like we got rid of the Ayatollah's son, who's either dead or can't do much of anything right now because he has no legs, at least doesn't have legs that work, and he's all boxed up. Then we got rid of some other bad guys, and the people who remain are reasonable. And by reasonable, I mean somewhat secular. It's great you have faith, but sometimes these people get a little bit too over the top radical with the faith, especially in the Islamic world. But there are normal, I say normal Iranian people all over the place in Iran and in Los Angeles. You ever hear about this show, Cut 6?
This season on Shahs of Sunset. Friends for life. Forever and ever.
Those are Iranian girls having a good time on spring break. Iranian girls and boys. They love having a good time. That's the reality show, Shahs of Sunset. There's a huge Iranian community. They love Trump. I haven't seen any polling about this deal. I hear President Trump isn't too popular right now in Israel. That comes and goes, up and down. I can't worry about that. This is solid. Congratulations are in order. 60 days starting today. Where does that take us? August, right? August 18th, plus or minus. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?